Hello, all you hardcores out there. How are you doing? It's Russ here from Porky's Corner, the biggest gob in sport. We say the things on here, and nobody dares say. Right, we're on to part two now with James. I'm just waiting for James to click on, and here he is, James from Essex, but living in Manchester. Women love him, men fear him. How are you doing, James?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. I've got myself one of them Pilsner lagers that someone mentioned on one of the comments before. So yeah, so you was rolling a fat one before.
Oh, what? Yeah, I've had to.
I just
Yeah,
thought I'd
I've
partake
had
in
to
it.
chop a fat one out, kid. You what, mate?
I thought I'd partake in a bit of inebriation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, listen, mate, what you drinking there?
A Pilsner.
Pilsner.
Just
No
yeah.
offense, mate, but do you know what you're doing now? We're doing that when I were about 12, mate. I've grown out that now. I'm 55 this year.
What alcohol?
I've got a glass of red here actually from a bottle that Big Ron gave me out of his farmhouse garage. This is a famous story. This when
Hmm.
I first started working for Big Ron. We were on piss one day in Maggie Mays in Sheffield. He goes, well, let's go into Massima's for one. Then we'll get a taxi back to mine. I've got a full-size snooker table. I went, have you? He goes, yeah. I went, no problem. I thought I couldn't wait to get on his table. Anyway, we get us back to Big Ron's. It's a famous tale. Live down this road, smack opposite Clinton Woods on this country lane. I'm not going to say
Hmm.
where. I don't want people going and banging Clinton's door down. And it's in this like part. It's like Derbyshire, but it's Sheffield postcode, but Derbyshire. So he gets back to Big Ron's in this black cab. He goes in. I thought, oh, fucking snooker table here, balls and lot. Big Ron, blotto, got the malt out, didn't he? Buttering me up. I was like, oh, let's chalk, let's cues. He's got big, massive telly, biggest telly I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm looking for Q. And I says, here, Ron, where's Q's Big Ron? Couldn't find a Q. Anyway, Big Ron there passed out on this big sofa. And I thought, I better go get me centre Q. So I'm rooting around in this big old farmhouse for this Q. This is a true story. Then for some silly reason, I just looked at corner of my eyeball and there were cameras everywhere. In
Bloody
every
hell.
corridors and lots. So I wrapped my brains at the time. I thought, oh, I better not start looking too hard for this queue. They might think I'm trying to burgle them.
Yeah.
I'm there, passed out. Do you know what I mean? So I never got
Yeah.
to play on Big Ron's table. I
I'm
wonder.
surprised he didn't put Muhammad Ali and Ron Laird and George Foreman on because he said he
No,
watches that
no,
every
no.
time.
That were many months after that. But that's what he likes to do after he's had a few sherbets. Here,
Mm.
let's put Ronald on and Ali because obviously his dad passed away, but that was his dad's favorite fight because
All
it's
right.
the greatest heavyweight fights ever that went for a belt, isn't it?
Yeah, it was class.
You know what I mean? And no matter where you are with Big Ron, Jersey, Tenerife, Sheffield, Derbyshire, any hotel, at a boxing show, whatever, ask AJ Robson, and when he gets any booze down him, he'll go, I said, oh, let's put a great fight. And he always says, oh, let's put Ron on against George Foreman.
It's always the same.
But hey ho. But anyway, what were we on about then? Because I'm steamed up here.
We was talking about the Kubrat Pulev thing with bloody hell. I'm the same as you. What's he called? Wardley.
Wardley, if Kubrat Pulev fights Wardley, he'll get put on Button Moon with them 100 people that Big John Fury, in his head, in his world, in John's world, in his head that he put up there. But really, it never happened, did it, Big John? You've never had a bare knuckler in your life. But you've got to understand, right, when you're dealing with somebody that's got about 4 brain cells in his head, any average human being's got 2 billion brain cells in his head. Big
Hmm.
John Fury's got about 3 or 4 brain cells in his head. So if he sees you give him a funny look on a Saturday night or even in a cafe, he'll run up to you, punch you in the face, knock you out, and he'll go back to where he's from and say, "Yeah, I've just had a bare knuckler. I've just had a
Yeah.
straightener." In his tiny skull, brain skull, that's a bare knuckler. No, no,
Uh-huh.
no, it ain't a bare knuckler. That's bullying. Get it right, bullying. And when I see you, I'll tell you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You want to come near me, people like that, because I'll put them straight. Yeah, I've got a vile mouth. I don't like people like that. I've met many people like that in jail, and they always end up scolded with a bag of sugar in the jug of water. Let me
Yeah.
tell you. But he was like a mouse, him in jail, like a mouse. My kid's missus is ex-prison screw, and all the
Yeah.
mates were industry. My children's my ex-missus job. Well, that's how I met her, didn't I? I
All
were on
right. Okay.
that copper. I done a copper, didn't I, when I was 23. I
Yeah.
were on remand. She worked in prison service. That's how I met her. But no, no,
Um,
there were no going on. She wasn't bringing me out in or all like that.
no,
She
no, no, no.
job in, didn't she? Packed a job in and come up and see me. But no, point I want to make is this. He was like a little mouse in prison, like a
Mm.
mouse. And his job was the screws orderly. Now, everybody knows if you're a screws orderly in jail, all you do is make tea and sandwiches for the screws. You are known as a arse licker. So he had no
Mm.
respect whatsoever. None. None. Yeah, they were doing it for privileges. But let's have it right. Any hardcore guy in jail like him, hardcore, you do it behind the door, don't you? And they've even got tellies now. They never had tellies when I was doing my porridge, mate.
No.
Big shit house. 100 on the hard road, 100 by way of knocking out Irish champions for 100 grand. And everybody was saying to me, oh, he knocked that James Quinn out. He didn't knock James Quinn out. He'd flatten him. The other big Irish champion, or the big bare knuckle guy, were Dan Rooney, and he'd flatten him as well. He's full of shit.
Aren't they
But
related? Are they
what?
related? Are they related, the Rooneys and the Furies?
I think what? Listen, I
Yeah.
don't mind. Listen, mate. You know all these people, right? I'm not being funny.
Mm.
And I think this is where they let themselves down, right? Oh, he's my cousin, he's my brother-in-law. I've got right. My cousin is married, right, to this guy, and I'm really good friends with this guy's brother. Do I run around saying he's my family?
No.
It's my cousin, he's my brother. Load of old shit. Load of old shit. That's how I
Like
look
they
at it.
might.
What thing you can say to me? Do you know what? You know when somebody like gets on with something, they go, "Yeah, he's my cousin." I say, "Is he
Mm.
cousin?" And then they explain it to you, and I go, "He ain't your cousin." They go,
No,
"Yeah,
exactly.
right, your cousin." I say, "You're full of shit. You sound like Dean White.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Dillian White, yeah. Bloody hell.
You sound like them. You sound like that interview that Dylan White said. Yeah, he's like my brother. Yeah, but he ain't
Mm.
your brother. There's no in relation.
No,
Grip
exactly.
yourself, you pudding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 2 seconds.
That's all right. One sec.
Saturday
Bloody
night.
hell, we're both going to be half cut here, Russ, aren't we?
Yeah, right. Where were we now? Let me just get my head together here because you've got me all over the place here. Right,
Sorry.
Horsecock is saying that Sheffield isn't the hotbed of boxing no more, and I agree with that. Now, somebody was saying to me over there, yeah, Sheffield's where it's at, this and that. Where's the world champions in Sheffield now for boxing, other than Terry Harper fighting 2 minute rounds and on the back foot for 1 minute 30 seconds of that? As soon as she scores a jab, that's it. She has a few clinches and she gets on a bike. Is Terry Harper the only world champion out of South Yorkshire, Sheffield area, whatever? Where's the rest of Dalton Smith? He's not a world champion. So how's Sheffield a hotbed? We've got no Naz, no Bomber Graham, no Johnny Horsecock, no Ryan Rhodes. There's no Kell Brook, who's probably best technician out of all of them as regards how you actually fight. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Said to me in comments section earlier, yeah, Kell Brook were an all right fighter. All right. Kell Brook was going to be the next Terry Norris. He was going to be a technician. But
Hmm.
put him in with somebody to get a few quid, and look what happened. And I blame Eddie Hills. Hills! for that. Up until that fight, I was Team Kell Brook. Like I was Team Naz, Team Ryan Rhodes. Went to all the fights, or nearly all of them. Clifton Mitchell, I thought he were going to do the business as well. He were a massive puncher, isn't he now?
Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
Clifton Mitchell were putting people on button moan. I'm talking broken jaws, teeth out, men that what's the kid's name from Chesterfield? That bumped into this kid, me and Dennis one night. And I said, Dennis, who were that? He sounded like Scooby Doo. He goes, oh, Clifton Mitchell knocked him out. I swear to God, this guy was a stumble bum. And it was only 10, 15 years after. I swear to God, honestly, Clifton Mitchell could have really been the real deal. I think you were matched wrongly. Maybe you might not have been as dedicated. Could whack like a milk. Gerald McClellan, power. I'm
Really?
telling you, James, honestly, go look at his record, man. He was icing people. He was an Iceman. Do you know that Richard Kalinsky, the Iceman, the New York guy?
Yeah, yeah.
That's Clifton Mitchell, mate, the Iceman.
He's the wrong shade. He's the wrong shade, Ross.
Wrong what?
He's the wrong shade to be Richard Kuklinski. Kuklinski's white, isn't he?
I know that, but I'm just saying, Clifton Mitchell, mate. I thought you were going to win a world title. I were gobsmacked. I used to go to Clifton Mitchell's fights and be like, wow, God, did you see what he's just done? And then he's ended up as, I know he's done well for himself as a security bloke, but listen, mate, he were putting people on the moon before Neil Armstrong and Buzz Lightyear, however he's called.
What did you think of Pele Reid when he was knocking about?
I thought he was brilliant. Dennis used to rave about him all the time. We saw that Pele Reid. Everybody said he was going to do the business. He's an electrician, isn't he?
He was a world kickboxing champion as well when he knocked Klitschko out, didn't he?
He couldn't get into boxing, could he? And he got found out, didn't he? But let me tell you this. He was putting people on the moon as well at one point, and everybody was scared to death of him.
I remember that. He looked a bit too. I mean, he looked loose, but I think
he stood square on too much, didn't he?
Yeah. His legs were good though, weren't they? Obviously.
Yeah, but you can't kick people in boxing, can you? Unless you're Darren Till.
Darren Till. I wish that had happened. I'm telling you. We're going off course, Ross. What's the next question?
We're not going off course, mate. What about Ben Eubank? What do you think to that? Do we even care? Does he even give us an explanation about that? What do you think to that?
Every time we mention Ben, what do I say to you? I'm not in. Get him off my TV. All I want, right? I want him to bring Golovkin out of our retirement, because if you want to go up to middleweight and you want to fight a middleweight, fight the faded Golovkin and let him do the job that he did on Kell Brook. Do you know what I mean? I can't stand Ben. I don't want him to have the payday. And that fight, that's a Talk Sport special, where they're going to go on about it and tell us that we want it and all that. No interest whatsoever. I wasn't interested in it when it was relevant, and now it's not relevant. And, they're letting a drug cheat just go wild. No interest whatsoever.
And yeah.
No. I won't be watching it live, put it that way. I'll watch the highlights. I refuse to give that my patronage, mate. I'm telling you.
Do you think, right, with how Matchroom are and looking at how they've dealt with things over the last, since 1986 December, when Barry Epstein first got involved in boxing, isn't that right? Barry Epstein. When Barry Epstein first got involved with boxing, he ended up doing a joint show with Mickey Duff back in the day to see what it was like, because he was that shit scared to put his own money in. He went, oh well, I'll come in on one and we'll just see how it goes, Mickey. When he did his first show back in the day that wasn't in his name at the end of '86, obviously their big breakout show with Joe Bugner, Frank Bruno, wasn't it?
Yeah, 87, wasn't it?
That first show with Mickey Duff, going back in the day, I look back at it now and I think to myself, these are never ever going to put their own money into boxing. Do you think?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Well, it's a thankless task, isn't it, boxing? I mean, I don't know the fine details, but I know Steve Wood never really made that much money out of boxing, as far as I'm aware. And he got a couple of breaks, didn't he, with Josh Warrington, and You know, and Jamie Moore, like even as a fighter, Jamie Moore never. I don't think Jamie Moore had enough to pay his mortgage by the time he'd retired. I'd heard. So, you know, you're not going to use your own money, are you? Because it's just a thankless task, and there's not really any money in it unless you're at the very top, and you have to be ruthless and horrible. And have stories about you like Bricktop's got about him at the moment. So yeah, I don't think they use their own money.
Listen, this is how I look at it, right? You know, your brick
Hmm.
tops of this world, they're always going to get a few quid out of the sport of boxing, right? Always going to get a few quid because they can say what they want, do what they want. Nobody dares say anything to them. You know, these YouTubers like Umar and Puppy Parsons, they're only bits of kids, aren't they, really? But they're
Yeah.
scared to death. They don't want anybody like me putting them on the spot. Listen, if I have Bricktop on here now, I said, Ray, are you going to come on here on a Zoom with me? I say, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, 6 p.m., big Porky. Do you think I bottle it? No, I'd be ready for him. I'd only have to ask him 8 or 9 questions and he would crawl off under the rock where he should be, hiding away from everybody. He won't be able to take me on here with his CB going back to 1980. I would tear him a new arsehole. In
Hmm.
I'd just ring my mate Terry up, my mate Rico up, and all the rest at commission. I said, find me some questions in what we're going to ask Bricktop. And I would
Yeah.
tear him, maybe not so much Terry, because he's Alfie Warren's mate. No offence, Terry, and I like Alfie. But all the rest of them, I would tear him a new arsehole in seconds. In absolute seconds. First thing I'd say to him is this: why didn't you pay Dennis that money when Clinton Woods started his camp at Joe Calzaghe fight? Why did Dennis have to chase you about for 25 grand when you pulled
When
play
it's
Calzaghe fight? And what happened? Dennis collared him at a show. And he says, hey, what about my 25? You. Grabbed him by his hand, pulled him to him and shook him like a bag of bones. Ain't that right, Bricktop? Because everybody told me, and you shit your pants, and Dennis says, here, fuck your 25 grand, let's flip a coin. So Bricktop went, all right. I said, Dennis, why would you do that? Because even if you won the coin toss, he were never going to give you 50 because they were never
no,
going to give you 25. And look what happened. Dennis went,
yeah,
all right, then they flipped the coin and the Bricktop won. But Dennis says to me, I wasn't going to get me 25 anyway. I just wanted to show him up. And he
yeah.
did. Dennis showed him up. And let me tell you this. When Dennis were riding high with Ricky Hatton, David A, and all the rest of them that he had in his stable, Bricktop used to stick it to him every week in the sun. He used to stick it to Dennis and Mick Hennessy. Do you know why? Because Barry Hearn were out of the game and Dennis and Mick Hennessy were the only ones that were trying to stick it to Bricktop. That's a true story. Obviously, Bricktop's seen everybody off, hasn't it? I can. He's like Marlon Brando, isn't he, of the day? You've seen all these actors that
Michael
do
Corleone.
this. Hang on a minute, because you're jumping fucking in on me and fucking. Hey, let me have the floor. He's like the
Sorry.
Marlon Brando of his day, isn't he? Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Everybody were going to do this and going to do that, but Marlon Brando were always the man until Robert De Niro and Al Pacino came along. Wasn't it? Everybody knows that, and that's Bricktop. But I think he'll go on to be like a Bob Arum. And do you know what? As time's gone on, I've become a little bit more fonder of him. Do you know why? Because he doesn't take no shit. He reminds me of myself. I'm from a coal mining village. We don't take shit where I'm from. We meet things head on. Look, if you look at me, right, you'll see I've got plenty of injuries on me. I've been stabbed. I've had guns put in my mouth. You see my ear, top of my ear been bit off. Cheekbones smashed in by coppers. I've been through the mill. But I'm still here to tell the tale, aren't I? I'm a character,
Yep.
but it's all character building. And I'm not really bothered about any of these people. These people don't bother me. When they see me at shows, they come over wanting selfies. They're going to do this and going to do that. They want selfies. If you don't believe me, go and ask Terry. He's been to enough shows with me. I'm not really bothered about these people, but I'm going to have my say on them. But I'm becoming a little bit. No, I don't want to have a pint with Bricktop, but I can understand where he's coming from. He's from a council estate. He's had a tough upbringing. He's not private school and all that. So good on him if he wants to stand up for himself and go up against other people. But I don't like how sometimes kids get trampled on by promoters. I've seen it with Dennis. I'm like, God, that were a bit strong, then. He's like, well, I'm running a business here. Sometimes I don't like that because I'm always for the fighter. And that's where me and Dennis used to clash. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
He'd say, oh, don't you be piping up this time when we've got this meeting here. I always side with the fighter. Ask Josh Whale and his dad Mick. I'm for the fighter because they're in the ring. Ask Clinton Woods. But promoters are putting the dough up, aren't they? And if you, we all remember the Liam Cameron story, don't we? He failed for cocaine for the Sheedy fight, and they let him off it. His next fight, he failed again for the Genman fight, didn't he? They didn't let him off.
Hmm.
They gave him a 4-year ban, didn't they? But
Yeah.
Dennis had thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds invested in him. So I can see where he's coming from with that when he says, no, I washed my hands with him. He'd done a fortune on him. And I mean fortune. Do you know what I mean? But it is
Hmm.
what it's boxing it. But I can see where Bricktop's coming from. He's going to defend his territory, isn't he? You see, within the rules, isn't it? If you can get away with it, look, it's the wild, wild west, isn't it? Everybody's out to shaft you, and his mindset is everybody's out to fuck him. So he's going to defend himself. Bricktop don't get close to boxers. Forget all that him and Tyson Fury are besties. He's not besties with any boxer. He don't
No.
trust boxers. He don't like them. And that's the same with Dennis. They don't like boxers. They don't trust them. They're not mates with them. They'll tell you they are. They'll tell you they're your family. Oh, your family, you're like family. You're not. You're not. These people are multi-millionaires. Do you see where I'm coming from? The multi-millionaires, these promoters, they don't care for boxers. They'll tell you anything. They'll go to bed with an anaconda snake. They don't
Yep.
care for boxers. You're a piece of meat. The farmers farming cows, pigs, and sheep and chickens. You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I do, and I can back up that point that you just made
There you go.
with two words: Barry McGuigan,
And Barney
and
East.
another. Well, no, not Barney Eastwood. No, another two words: Carl Frampton. Look at that, how close them two were. You know, he was best man at. Shane was best man at his wedding and everything.
That's what they do, innit? That's what people do. Listen, mate. For what? I've seen
Yeah,
that on elbow. I'm not going to go into detail. I've seen even worse than that. I've seen babies delivered. People in boxing and people who are godfathers and all because it means shit when it comes down to a pound note. No,
I know.
promoters run boxing. They run border control. They run TV. You know, all these TV people, they spout out this and that. You know, with Sky, let me tell you, Sky Sports, right? Sky Sports have never had a quality control. You know, a person who says, yeah, that's a good fight, that's a good fight. They haven't. They have
No,
somebody like Adam Smith who says, yeah, we'll do that. Well, let me tell you this. He can be got at because people in boxing will look for a weakness with Adam Smith, Mr. Bean. Oh, and he had a weakness, didn't he? Oh,
yeah,
he
of
had
course it is.
plenty of weakness. Eventually, he didn't at the beginning, though, did he? But once the people find out your weaknesses, they exploit them. Look, boxing's a sport where some kids who are better than world champions never get to be a world. Look at Ryan Rhodes. Ryan
Mm,
Rhodes should have been a multi-weight world champion. Matched wrongly, wrong advice, and probably didn't do enough tickets. That's my
yeah.
opinion. As regards talent and skill, off the charts. Off the fucking charts, mate. Why is he? Why is Ryan Rhodes not a light middle, a middle, and a super middleweight world champion? Why is that? Why?
He should have been, shouldn't he? But I think he was pulling too closely to Naz's coattails,
Yeah,
and
he
I
were
think
too close to Nas, and they thought, we'll pinch a world title with him. They put him in with that
yeah,
Otis man who were a killer, who everybody was scared to death of him, and Ryan fucking nearly pulled it off as a kid,
he did,
right?
didn't
And
he? Yeah,
Otis Grant technically got it ring and had about £10 on him on night. The Otis Grant with a massive light heavyweight boiled down to middle, when Ryan were
mm,
really a light middle. You see where I'm coming from? I look at things like that and I think, wow, that kid were rushed.
yeah.
He wouldn't have been rushed now, would he? If he wouldn't
No,
have let
definitely
him,
not.
they would have done that to him, would they?
No, definitely not.
See where I'm coming from? And I look at things like that, and I see Ryan every now and then. I probably might see him once a year or something, if that. And I always see him, and I always think about that fight. I do,
Mm,
honestly. And I think, wow. Do you know what I mean? Or the Jason Matthews fight, where we were so close. And, do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah,
But look at other people like Daniel Dubois, aka John Coffey, big stiff, big cornbread eater, and he's getting it. He's getting a world title, a WBA regular, then he's getting an IBF by a fucking email. What's going on here? What's going on?
it's
It's
just
me crazy. It's no wonder I'm back on the source, and it's the 4th of January, and I've already relapsed.
it's Frank Warren though, isn't it? Do you think if Dubois was promoted by Hearn, do you think he would have been extended the same sort of courtesy?
No, I don't. Listen, Earns and Warrens, they're there to earn money. Well, you've seen it, haven't you? Do you
Hmm.
think Daniel Dubois were ready for Usyk? Yes or no?
No, he wasn't ready the first time. Like I do think he's become better, but no, I don't think Usyk's
Better
a
by what? Who has he beat since Usyk?
well, a faded Joshua. So
No, hang
no,
on. No. Back up, James, because you're pissing me off. Right, he's
go
beat
on.
Miller,
Hmm.
right, a 24 stone fat man. So if it listen, if I were that weight, I'd probably give him a good scene to. He ain't no special. Fat Miller, forget him, a
Hmm.
big fat man, butterbean job. Oh, after him, big stiff, Ergovic, right, and then Joshua shot to bits. Are you telling me he's the next big thing? Dubois
No.
on the strength of them 3 wins? No. So
Mm.
no, Dubois were putting with Usyk as a pawn to try and protect the king, which was Tyson Fury. He's the money man, Tyson Fury. So they got to protect your king, haven't you? So you throw other people at Usyk. You try and take a little bit of Usyk's power away from him. You try and put mileage on his clock, and then you get him down the line. But Usyk, he looked at Dubois as like a starter meal, like a prawn cocktail on a Christmas day. That's how
Yeah,
I.
it's amazing, really, isn't it? Because Dubois look in the part, but it just shows, doesn't it? It doesn't matter if you look the part. You know, Usyk's he's a maestro, isn't he? As you always say.
Listen, mate, you seen Dubois get it ringed, didn't it? And try and put it on Usyk after he'd just dealt with the big Gypsy King for the second time. And
Mm.
after doing Joshua twice, he got in the ring, all stumble bum. He couldn't even get his lines out. He was filling his nappy then. And he's filling his
Uh,
nappy now. He didn't want to get him with him again and get smashed to bits. He just wanted the kudos of putting it on Usyk. Usyk could mop him up like he did before. Mop him up, mate. And another thing, has anybody actually even slow motioned that punch where he hit Usyk? It's below the belt. Has anybody even had a look at that properly?
I know it was below the belt.
It was below the belt. The computeristics or whatever on that site I looked at had 80 odd% of the glove below the belt. So what's that tell
Hmm.
you? It's not
Exactly.
borderline. It's a low fucking blow. Pop, pop, bang.
And he still had 11 other rounds to do the job, and he didn't do the job. He went down off a jab.
There you go.
Well,
And they're still squealing over it. If that had been other way round and Bricktop were managing or promoting Usyk, he'd have gone, the crazy is not getting a rematch. Pop,
yeah,
pop, bang on
exactly.
that one, Bricktop. Get over it. But what I want to know is this. When is Usyk going to get his flowers? Because every time he flops one of our Brits, Joe Joyce, Chisora, Bellew, Dubois, that's 4. Joshua twice, Fury twice, that's 8. Every time Usyk flops one of ours or bladders us, nobody gives him his flowers. They grab it microphone out of his hand in ring, or they're storming off and throwing belts. Or Fury left the ring, didn't he?
Hmm.
Dubois and Bricktop was screaming robbery. The screaming robbery about last one. Joe Joyce couldn't even do an interview after when he got beat. Mike can't anyway because he's a big mute, giant mute. That's how I look at it, mate. Let's have it right, mate. He's ran through 8 wins of our best. And now they're starting to stick Dubois in. Well, that'll be a 9. But listen, they don't want to put Dubois near him. It's blather him again.
Of course he would. Of
All right, let me
course he
ask
would.
you this, James. Let me ask you this, right?
Go on.
Does the boxing establishment want Usyk to be in pole position? Yes or no?
No, and simply because there's a bit of xenophobia there. He doesn't speak English, so he's not media friendly to the casuals, and the casuals are the ones who make everybody the money, not the hardcores.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
I agree. I agree. I'll ask you another thing as well. Do you know Conor Benn? Do you think he's realised now, after failing 2 dope tests, that he's never going to be a good guy? He tried to be the good guy till he got caught doping. Oh, he's a good guy. We love him. Oh, he's so vibrant. He lights up the room and all that. When he got done for 2 dope tests, first one they were going, no, it's not guilty. You're not guilty. It's a mix-up. After the second one, oh, didn't the vibe change after the second one? Everybody were like, Scooby. Is Conor Benn
uh,
now trying to be the bad guy, the villain? Is he trying to be the villain when really maybe he might be a nice kid and he don't want to be the villain? Has he been badly advised? What do you think, James? Go on, we've got about
I,
five.
cer- I certainly think he's been badly advised. He went on Piers Morgan and got turned inside out. Um, he he's come out and rather than being humble and showing a bit of humility, he's come out like an absolute twat. He thinks he's a gangster from Essex when he was privately educated, grew up in Spain and Australia. But nothing about the man's real. He's even got a fake beard because he didn't have enough testosterone and real manliness within him. Like, not only to admit that he cheated, but to grow a beard. He can't even grow a beard without assistance. So, no, I do think he's been badly advised. And yeah, I just don't think he's a very nice person. I think he's a narcissist and he needs to get off our telly, as I always say. He's an absolute wanker, and I don't want anything to do with him. I won't be watching that fight live if Eubank and him face off because I'm not giving it my patronage.
Aren't you?
No, I
Okay.
refuse.
Do you think Conor Benn will be getting heated seats in his next car or an heated steering wheel? What do you think?
um, repeat the question again, Russ. I think I might have misheard you. Go on.
Is Conor Benn going to get an heated steering wheel in his next Screeve that he buys?
Probably.
Okay, Tony Sims, right? What's happening with his gym now? Because nobody seems to be going there to train, do they? And people are dropping by the wayside. Bricktop's gym dropping by the wayside. Bombay Days, not Bricktop's, Flex's gym dropping by the wayside. And Bombay Dave's gym, they're dropping by the wayside. So what's happening with Bombay Dave, Flex, and Slow Tony Sims?
Well, Slow Tony, I think, is a lot to do with the special milkshakes and the fact that there's a lot of silence in there. And the rest of them, I just think it's like flavour of the month syndrome. You always have it, don't you? Sean O'Hagan, he never got spoken about as a trainer anymore, does he? He was flavour of the month.
Well, I want
Um,
him to train, and the man's heading for an heart attack. Pop, pop, bang.
well, yeah, exactly. But like, he was spoken about because of what he did with Josh. It goes in cycles in this country. Ben Davidson's was the man.
Whoa, well, let me just stop you there. Let me just stop you there. Are you
Go on.
telling me that he whipped Josh Warrington into shape him? Because I know different.
No,
Everybody
I'm
knows.
not. I'm not.
Let me just stop you there because you're a big Steve Wood man. Let me just stop you there. Everybody in boxing knows who got Josh Warrington fit and fight ready. And it weren't the big fat man, let me
My
tell you.
point. My point, Porky, wasn't about whether he whipped Josh Warren into shape. It's about what the media are telling us. That is what boxing's about nowadays. It's not
Yeah.
about what we can see with our own eyes. It's about what the media are telling us. So the media were saying to us, "Oh, Sean O'Hagan, oh, he's the proper man of the year. He's this and he's that." I don't believe it. How can you
Big
say
fat,
it's not the
listen, mate. He's a big fat waffling CUNT that goes on all interviews and does all PR for him. Listen, everybody
Mhm.
knows Nick Manners and the rest of them got him in shape. Not him, not him. Big fat man walking around with his tracky bottoms hanging out at the back of his arsehole. Have you seen him when he climbs in ring? Do me a favour, old bag puss. Get gone.
he can cook apparently. You can tell, can't you?
You what?
He's a good cook apparently. Maybe you can tell.
He's had enough practice. Have you seen how fat he is?
I know, yeah. I can't talk though, you know what I mean? I look like a Michelin man with my clothes off.
I don't care, mate. I've got a 6 pack now. Right, mate. It's going to be a late one for me. I'm off out on the town. So listen, pop, pop, bang. Listen, James, thanks for coming out.
No problem.
I'm off down Mexico. I'm off down Mexico tonight now with my pals.
All right, mate. Enjoy yourself.
I will, mate. I can assure you of that, kid. I will. I won't be drink driving though. I've got an Uber coming. Listen, you take care, James. Listen, it's been a real tonic to have you on channel. I hope
Thank
everybody
you.
likes these videos. If you don't, I don't care. Come and stick it on me if you've got a problem. Pop, pop, bang. And I hope you like the thumbnails because a lot of effort's gone into them. All right. Big John Fury, when I see you, I'm going to give you a big cuddle and a big kiss.
Speak to you next week, Russ. All right.
You will, mate. You take
See
care,
you later,
James.
pal. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Well, that was James. Women watch him, men fear him. That's it. That's it for tonight. 36 minutes gone. I don't want to chat any more nonsense for another 3.5 minutes. So pop, pop, poppity pop. Big shout out to Max. Max, I've decided that I don't even want to speak to you ever again until you get to 17 stone 12. Go on, booyaka.